The moment the hot chocolate splashed across the CEO's tailored white coat, right in front of the largest Christmas tree in the city, everyone froze. Except the single dad, who caused it. He didn't freeze. He panicked. Ethan Reyes had no business being in the Crystal Plaza Mall on Christmas Eve. Not when the place was exploding with people, glittering displays, and last-minute sales. Not when he should have been home wrapping presents, or what little he could afford of them. But his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, had lost her mittens, and no power on earth could withstand the force of her shivering bottom lip. So there he stood in a borrowed coat, clutching a warm paper cup of hot chocolate in one hand and Lily's tiny mittenless fingers in the other. "Daddy, it smells like candy everywhere," she whispered. "That's because everyone's panic-buying overpriced happiness," he muttered, earning a giggle. They were making their way toward the budget winter booth when Lily suddenly gasped.
"Daddy,
look at the giant tree." Ethan turned, and his entire world collided with someone else's. Quite literally. The moment felt like slow motion. He bumped forward, his hot chocolate flew upward, and a shower of steaming brown liquid cascaded down onto an immaculate white wool coat, one that easily cost more than 3 months of his rent. Gasps exploded around them. Lily squeaked. Ethan went pale. The woman went absolutely still. She blinked once, then twice, her icy blue eyes lifting to meet his. And that was the moment Ethan realized he'd just ruined Christmas for the wrong person. Because the face staring back at him was not just familiar, it was famous. Victoria Hale, CEO of Hale Tech, the youngest female billionaire in the state. And according to every magazine headline he'd ever seen, colder than winter itself. Her voice cut the air like a blade. "You spilled your drink on me." I'm so sorry," Ethan stammered, grabbing napkins from a nearby vendor. "I wasn't watching where my daughter saw the tree. Please let me." He reached out to dab her coat, but she held up one gloved hand sharply. "Touch me, and you'll make it worse." He froze mid-apology, napkin hovering uselessly in the air. Lily hid behind his leg. "Daddy didn't mean it," she whispered timidly. Victoria's expression flickered, just for a second, at the sight of the little girl. But her icy demeanor returned immediately. "Accidents," she said crisply, "always seem to happen to me on holidays." Ethan swallowed hard. "Please, I'll pay for the cleaning. I'll do anything." He stopped himself. Because what could he possibly offer? He worked double shifts as a waiter at a downtown diner. There were nights he couldn't even afford the bus, let alone professional coat cleaning for a billionaire. Victoria glanced down at the spreading brown stain on her coat. "Do you have any idea how much this costs?" "Honestly," Ethan admitted, "if I said yes, I'd be lying." A nearby family was whispering, taking out phones, not to film her, but him. Of course. A poor single dad ruining a CEO's Christmas Eve? Viral bait. Victoria exhaled sharply. "I don't have time for this," she said. "I have a dinner to attend." "I'll pay you back," Ethan insisted. "Whatever it costs. I promise." "How?" she shot back. "With napkins?" He had no answer. Lily tugged at his coat gently. "Daddy, is she mad at us?" Ethan crouched beside her. "It's okay, honey. Daddy just made a mistake." Victoria opened her mouth, likely to deliver a final, devastating dismissal, when something shifted in her gaze. Was it the little girl's trembling lip? Was it the way Ethan shielded her so instinctively? Or was it simply that Victoria Hale, the infamous untouchable CEO, had spent too many Christmas Eves alone to walk away from this strangely human moment? Whatever it was, she suddenly said, "There might be another way you can repay me." Ethan blinked. "Name it." Her eyes narrowed with calculating intrigue. "You ruined my evening, so you can replace it." He stared. "I don't follow." "You," she said slowly, as if speaking to an intern fresh out of college, "will take me out." A silence dropped heavier than the snow outside. "Take you out?" Ethan repeated, convinced he was hallucinating. "A date," she clarified. "Tonight." Lily gasped louder than she had at the Christmas tree. "A date? Like the movies?" Victoria's eyebrow twitched. "Something like that." Ethan opened and closed his mouth uselessly. But I can't. Why not? She challenged. I'm just me, he said. And you're someone who had her coat ruined, she interrupted sharply. And someone who is now giving you a chance rather than sending you a bill large enough to end your year poorly. He looked at Lily. She nodded vigorously. Daddy, you should go. She's pretty. Victoria coughed once, looking away. Ethan exhaled the longest breath of his life. Okay, he said at last. One date. Victoria extended her hand. Then consider your debt. Temporarily paused. Ethan shook it carefully. And that was how a spilled drink, a terrified dad, a billionaire CEO, and a mittenless little girl began a Christmas Eve none of them would ever forget. Victoria Hale had negotiated billion-dollar deals, survived boardroom mutinies, and faced down hostile investors, but nothing prepared her for sitting in a modest diner across from the single dad who had accidentally baptized her coat in hot chocolate. The plan had seemed perfectly logical at the mall. Make him repay her evening with a date, enjoy one harmless distraction before returning to her cold penthouse and even colder schedule. But now, seated in the corner booth of Danny's diner, Ethan's workplace, Victoria was beginning to question her own sanity. This wasn't a Ritz. It wasn't even a mid-tier restaurant. It was ordinary, small, warm, lived in, and entirely beneath her social bracket. Yet something about the place felt realer than the glossy, curated world she usually inhabited. Ethan rushed in through the swinging kitchen door wearing a clean apron, his hair slightly damp, as if he'd splashed water on himself out of pure panic while freshening up. Lily sat beside her, happily coloring on a kid's menu. Sorry for the wait, he said breathlessly. My boss insisted on helping me look presentable. Victoria tilted her head. He approves of you taking a break from your shift? Ethan flushed. I'm not working tonight. I just didn't know where else to take you that wouldn't empty my wallet or make you uncomfortable. She lifted a brow. You think billionaire CEOs get uncomfortable? He met her eyes, really met them, and said, I think everyone does. Even you. Victoria wasn't sure whether to be offended or impressed. Before she could respond, the waitress, an older woman named Brenda, arrived with a pot of steaming coffee. Evening, sweetheart. You must be the CEO Ethan spilled cocoa on. Victoria stiffened. Word travels fast. In this diner? Faster than electricity. Brenda winked. Coffee. Victoria nodded. The warmth felt jarringly pleasant in her hands. Lily leaned forward. Miss Victoria, I'm drawing you. Victoria blinked. You are? Yes. Lily turned the page to show an enthusiastic scribble featuring a tall stick figure with giant hair. This is you. That's quite the hairstyle. It's fancy, Lily said proudly. Ethan groaned. She thinks every successful woman has fancy CEO hair. Noted, Victoria replied, unable to stop the faint tug at her lips. Thank you, Lily. The little girl beamed. When Brenda left them alone, Victoria clasped her hands together, defaulting to the version of herself the world recognized. Confident, composed, impossible to crack. Let's get this over with, she said. Ethan's face fell. You don't have to sound so miserable about it. I'm not miserable, she said. This is simply unfamiliar. Dating, he teased. No. Being on a date with someone who doesn't want anything from me. He paused. And for once, Victoria couldn't read the emotion on someone's face. What makes you think I don't want anything from you? He asked softly. She inhaled sharply, ready to fire back, but he continued before she could. You think I wouldn't want the kind of life you have? The security? The power? The comfort? He shook his head. I'd be lying if I said that life wouldn't make things easier. Then why don't you ask for something? She challenged. Because tonight you're not a CEO, he said. You're just Victoria. Her breath stalled. No one called her just Victoria. Not in years. Not since before she'd built Hale Tech from scratch, fought off her father's controlling board, and turned a failing company into an empire. Every interaction she had was calculated. Every friendship, transactional. Every date, an arrangement. Every man she met wanted the brand, the prestige, or the publicity. But Ethan wanted none of it. Or he was too tired to want anything at all. What about you? she asked quietly. What do you want? Ethan shrugged. A night where I don't feel like I'm drowning. A Christmas where Lily gets more than socks. A future where I don't have to choose between paying the electricity bill or buying her medicine. Victoria's eyes lowered to the table. Those were things she'd never had to think about. Ever. I didn't realize things were that hard. He laughed, not bitter, just tired. That's life for most people. And yet, she murmured, you still smile. Because she needs me, he said, glancing at Lily. And because even on the worst days, there's always something to laugh about. Even hot chocolate disasters.
She swallowed.
She didn't know a single CEO, herself included, who could say the same about their lives. The food arrived, mac and cheese for Lily, a burger for Ethan, and a simple soup for Victoria. Soup? Ethan asked. Not exactly CEO cuisine. It's warm, she said. And today has been cold. He gave her a look she couldn't decipher. Then Lily started humming a Christmas tune, drawing them both back into the world. Victoria set down her spoon. Ethan, she said softly. This date, it's not repayment for the coat anymore. He blinked. Then, what is it? She hesitated. A rare vulnerability crossed her features. It's something I didn't know I needed. Ethan's heart thudded once, unexpectedly hard. But before he could respond, the diner lights flickered, dimmed, then went out entirely. A blackout. Lily squeaked.
Daddy.
Ethan pulled her close. Victoria stared into the sudden darkness, a hint of unease tightening her posture. Outside, snow whispered against the windows. Christmas Eve had shifted, and none of them knew what was coming next. The blackout should have lasted a few seconds. Instead, it stretched into a silence so deep that even the Christmas lights outside seemed to stop breathing. And in that darkness, the CEO, who controlled thousands of employees, suddenly looked like someone who didn't know how to handle being powerless. The diner fell into pitch-black stillness. Only the faint glow of snow outside the windows cast pale silver across the tables. For a moment, no one spoke. No one moved. Then Lily whispered, Daddy, is the world broken? Ethan brushed her hair, reassuringly.
No, sweetheart.
Just a little power outage. Victoria, however, sat unnaturally straight, her hands clenched around her purse. Ethan noticed the tension immediately. You okay? He asked gently. I'm fine, she said too quickly. Just unprepared. For a blackout? Ethan teased lightly, trying to cut the tension. For anything unplanned, she corrected. Of course. CEOs lived by schedules. Calculated risks. Full control. Blackouts weren't on their spreadsheets. Brenda's voice called out from behind the counter. Everyone stay calm. Generators should kick in soon. But seconds passed.
Then a minute.
Still nothing. Customers began lighting phone flashlights. Lily tugged on Victoria's sleeve. Do you get scared of the dark? Victoria blinked. I don't get scared. You hesitated, Lily said with little kid bluntness. Ethan almost choked on a laugh. Victoria inhaled through her nose.
Fine.
I don't like when things become unpredictable. Like hot chocolate spills. Ethan offered. Her glare was sharp enough to cut glass, yet softened by the faint curve of her lips. When the cold started to seep into the room, Ethan stood. Generators in the back. I'll see if I can help. You know how to fix one? She asked skeptically. I know how to try, he said. When you're a dad, you learn survival skills fast. Lily reached out. Daddy, don't go too far. I'll be right back. Victoria watched him disappear into the dim kitchen. The quiet that followed was odd, like the air had shifted with him gone. Lily climbed into the seat beside her. Do you like my daddy? Victoria nearly choked. Excuse me? He's nice, Lily said earnestly. And he's funny. And he cooks good pancakes. And he doesn't get mad when I color on the walls. Only a little mad. Victoria stared at the child. She didn't know how to talk to kids. She didn't even know how to be around kids. Her world was full of adults who wore suits, smiled strategically, and watched her like she was a walking stock price. But Lily? Lily watched her like she was human. Victoria cleared her throat. Your father seems kind. He's the best, Lily said. He works a lot, but he always comes home to read me bedtime stories, even when he's tired. Victoria's chest tightened unexpectedly. She'd never had that. Her father had been a corporate giant, a man who treated love like a diluted resource and time like something his daughter hadn't earned. Do you have a daddy? Lily asked innocently. Victoria's voice thinned. Not anymore. Oh. Lily's face softened. Was he nice? He was. Victoria searched for a diplomatic word. Strict. My daddy's not strict.
He's soft, she said proudly.
Victoria gave a small, accidental smile.
Yes.
I noticed. Before Lily could continue, the kitchen door swung open and Ethan reappeared, brushing away dust. Good news. Generator's working, but the starter's jammed. Bad news. Someone needs to keep the switch pressed to keep the lights on. Victoria frowned. For how long? Until the power comes back, he said. Brenda can't do it. She's managing the customers. I offered to help. Lily jumped up. Can I come too? No, Ethan said gently. It's cold back there. He turned to Victoria. She can stay with you if that's okay. Victoria stiffened. Children were unpredictable, emotional, messy, everything she wasn't built for. Victoria? Ethan prompted. Her gaze softened, only slightly, at Lily's hopeful eyes.
Fine.
I'll watch her. Lily cheered and scrambled into the seat beside her again. Ethan hesitated, then added quietly, Thank you. And he disappeared again. Once he was gone, Lily scooted closer. Do you know stories? Stories? Yes. Daddy says everyone has at least one good story. Victoria didn't respond immediately. A story? Her life was numbers, contracts, meetings, victories. Not warmth. Not magic. Not the things children cared about. But Lily was waiting. So Victoria said, Once upon a time, there was a little girl who wanted to build something incredible. Lily's eyes widened. Like a castle?
No.
A company. What's a company? It's like a giant machine that lots of people work inside. Lily nodded seriously, absorbing every word. And did she build it? Yes, Victoria said quietly. But it cost her things she didn't expect. Like what?
Time.
Friends. And Christmases. Lily frowned. That's sad. It's efficient, Victoria corrected gently. But sad, Lily insisted. Victoria's throat tightened. The child wasn't wrong. Before she could respond, Ethan returned, wiping his hands on his apron. Generator's stable, he said. But someone will have to check it every 15 minutes. He looked exhausted, but relieved, and when he saw Lily leaning against Victoria's arm, his eyebrows lifted. She kept you company? Victoria nodded once. She's surprisingly easy to talk to. That's a first, Ethan teased. Lily gasped. Hey. They all laughed, softly, naturally, and something in Victoria's chest unwound, like a tightly coiled spring finally released. Then Brenda approached the table, worry etched across her face. Storm's getting worse. Roads might close. She hesitated. And the power company just said the outage might last hours. Ethan's eyes widened. I need to get Lily home before. But Brenda shook her head. Son, nobody's getting home tonight. Victoria's gaze moved between the two of them. A single dad, a little girl, a blackout, a snowstorm, and a billionaire CEO who suddenly, for the first time, didn't know what the night would bring. Snowstorms don't care about status. They strand billionaires and broke single dads the exact same way. And when the roads closed that Christmas Eve, Victoria Hale found herself trapped in a tiny diner with a man who ruined her coat, his daughter who softened her heart, and emotions she had never scheduled for. The diner hummed with unease as word spread. Roads closed. Power out. No one going anywhere. Customers gathered near the windows where heavy snowflakes blurred the world outside. The wind howled, pushing white sheets across the parking lot until the cars looked half-buried. Ethan rubbed a hand over his face. Storm must have hit harder than forecast. Lily clutched his sleeve. Daddy, will Santa still find us? Victoria blinked at the question, then watched Ethan kneel to Lily's level. Of course, he said softly. Santa's magic works in any weather. Lily relaxed, but Victoria's chest tugged unexpectedly at the tenderness in his voice. Brenda clapped her hands. All right, folks. Until the storm settles, you're all staying put. Plenty of blankets in storage. We'll make it cozy. The customers murmured relief. No one wanted to drive in that blizzard. Victoria, however, was unsettled. A CEO stranded in a diner? With no signal? No driver? No controllable variables? This wasn't just unfamiliar, it was unthinkable. Ethan noticed the tension in her posture. You okay? Her jaw tightened. I have a company event tomorrow morning. A board meeting Monday. I don't have time to be stuck. Storm doesn't care, he said gently. No, she replied with a frown. It never does. Brenda distributed blankets, and Lily excitedly took two. One for herself and one she draped around Victoria's shoulders without asking. Victoria stiffened. Thank you. It's soft, Lily said proudly. And it's pink. Victoria stared down at the bubblegum-colored fleece. She had never worn anything so childish. Ethan chuckled. You look. Don't say cute, Victoria warned. Approachable, he finished. That startled her more than cute would've. When a few candles were lit and the kitchen fired up a gas stove to keep warmth circulating, the diner transformed from a stranded outpost into something that looked almost festive. The customers began to talk among themselves. Some sang softly to restless children. A couple played cards. Brenda served warm soup to anyone who wanted it. Lily hopped over to the window, watching snow pile like mountains around the entrances. Miss Victoria, she called, come look. Victoria hesitated, then surprised herself by following. Lily pressed her tiny palm to the frosted glass. It looks like the world is sleeping. It does, Victoria said softly. Do you like Christmas? Victoria paused. I haven't celebrated it in years. Why? She didn't want to answer. But Lily looked up at her with honest, patient eyes. Because, she said slowly, I was always too busy working. Daddy says work is important, Lily said. But not more important than people. Victoria opened her mouth, then closed it again. How could a 6-year-old dismantle her worldview so simply? Before she could respond, Ethan approached them with 3 mugs of warm cider. Peace offering, he joked. Hot chocolate was a dangerous beverage. Victoria accepted the mug with a small laugh she didn't mean to release. As they sipped quietly, watching snow swirl, Ethan asked, So, what does Christmas look like for someone like you? She shrugged. Meetings. Emails. Silent penthouse. Occasionally, a catered lunch by my assistant. That's depressing, he said. She shot him a glare. It's efficient. It's lonely, he corrected. Her lips parted, but she had no defense for that. She had spent so many holidays alone she had forgotten they could feel like anything else. What about you? She asked. Ethan smiled faintly. We make pancakes. Watch Lily's favorite movies. Then I give her one present I saved up for. It isn't much, but she makes it feel like the whole world. Lily nodded enthusiastically. Last year, he got me a stuffed bear. His name is Pancake. Victoria felt warmth coil in her chest. Warmth she didn't expect. Warmth she didn't want to name. Time passed, slow, calm, strangely comforting. Then Brenda approached. All right, folks, we're setting up sleeping spaces. Booths, counters, floor cushions. Make yourselves comfortable. Lily tugged Ethan's sleeve. Daddy, can Miss Victoria sleep near us? Victoria blinked. I don't want to intrude. You're not intruding, Lily insisted. You're on a date. Victoria choked on her cider. Ethan nearly dropped his mug. Lily, he whispered. It's not. Well, it is, but... Victoria lifted a hand, calming him. It's fine. Lily clapped her hands.
Yay.
A sleepover date. The words made Victoria's face warm in a way no business meeting ever had. They arranged a makeshift space in the corner. 2 blankets on the floor for Lily. 1 booth for Ethan. And, after much persuasion, one booth for Victoria. As they settled in, Ethan leaned closer, his voice low. You don't have to stay near us. You could sit closer to the heater. She shook her head. That's not why I'm here. He frowned. Then why? Her eyes held his. Because, she whispered, this is the first Christmas Eve in years that hasn't felt empty. Ethan's breath hitched. His gaze softened. The air between them warmed more than any heater could. Lily, already half asleep, murmured, Daddy, she talks pretty. They both laughed quietly. Snow battered the windows. Candles flickered. And in a tiny diner on Christmas Eve, a billionaire who lived in a frozen world found something thawing, unexpectedly, dangerously, beautifully. By sunrise, the storm was gone. But something else had settled in its place. Something Victoria Hale wasn't prepared to face. The unfamiliar warmth of belonging, the pull of a man who shouldn't have mattered, and the little girl who had quietly rewritten her entire definition of home. Morning crept into the diner soft and cold, lighting the frost-coated windows with pale gold. The blackout still lingered, but the storm had passed, leaving behind a world blanketed in white. Customers stretched, groaned, and shook off the stiffness from a night spent on booths and floors. But Victoria didn't move. She lay in the booth she'd been assigned, awake long before the others, staring at the ceiling as unfamiliar thoughts swirled through her mind. She'd slept. Not lightly, not tensely, but deeply, comfortably, wrapped in a pink blanket she never would have touched under normal circumstances. Lily slept curled on the floor beside her, little fingers wrapped around a stuffed napkin she'd claimed was Pancake, the bear's cousin. Ethan was slumped in the booth across from Victoria, arms folded, head tilted back, lashes resting against cheeks dusted with exhaustion. He looked peaceful. He looked human. He looked nothing like the men in her world. Victoria's throat tightened. She had spent years building walls, constructing an empire so fortified that no one could reach her. She had earned respect, fear, admiration, but never warmth. Until now. A small hand tugged her sleeve. Lily yawned. Morning, Miss Victoria. Victoria sat up. Good morning. Do you want a pancake? Daddy makes the best ones. Victoria hesitated. I've never had diner pancakes. Lily gasped like this was a crime against humanity. You have to try them. The commotion woke Ethan, who blinked until his surroundings came into focus. Morning, he said, offering her a tired but soft smile. Something fluttered in her chest. How'd you sleep? He asked. Better than I expected, she admitted. Me too, he murmured. His gaze flicked to Lily. And, did you keep Miss Victoria company all night? Lily nodded proudly. She told me stories. Ethan's eyebrows lifted. You? Told stories. Victoria crossed her arms defensively. I'm capable of imagination. I never said you weren't, he teased. Yes, you did, she shot back. They both laughed, a warm, easy sound that made Brenda glance over and smile knowingly. Breakfast became a communal affair. Pancakes cooked on the gas stove. Coffee brewed on a camping burner. Customers chatted like old friends. Victoria couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten with strangers, or enjoyed it. She watched Ethan flip pancakes, Lily pour syrup, customers pass around plates, Brenda scold a man for stealing extra butter. It was chaos. Unorganized. Imperfect. But it felt real. It felt alive. It felt like something she'd been missing without knowing it. When Ethan brought her a plate, she asked quietly, Do you do this every Christmas? He shrugged. More or less. We make the best of what we have. She stared at the pancakes. He made the best of little, while she had everything and felt nothing. Ethan, she began softly. But before she could continue, the lights flickered, then flared on. A collective cheer erupted through the diner. Lily jumped.
Yay.
The world woke up. Ethan lifted her into his arms, spinning her once. Victoria watched them, father and daughter enveloped in pure joy, and felt something in her chest stretch painfully. She didn't belong in their world.
She shouldn't want this.
Yet she did. More than she wanted her board meetings. More than she wanted her penthouse. More than she wanted her carefully curated, emotionally insulated life. By noon, the roads were clear enough for people to leave. One by one, customers bundled up and headed into the snow. Brenda waved from the doorway, promising free pie next time. Ethan zipped Lily's coat, pulled on his own, and glanced at Victoria. So, I guess this is it. Her heart sank. I suppose so. Lily ran to her, arms outstretched. Victoria froze. Hugs weren't in her vocabulary. Not professionally. Not personally. But she knelt, slowly, and Lily wrapped herself around her. Thank you for being my friend, Lily whispered. Victoria's eyes stung. After Lily ran back to Ethan, Victoria stood, smoothing her coat, forcing her expression back into CEO neutrality. Ethan stuffed his hands into his pockets. That date didn't go how either of us expected. No, she agreed softly. Sorry again about the coat. I don't care about the coat. He smiled faintly.
Yeah.
I figured that out. Silence stretched between them. Warm, fragile, charged. If things were different, he began. They don't have to be, she cut in. He blinked. I make my own schedule, she said. And I could rearrange some things. His eyes widened slightly. Hope flickered. But uncertainty followed. Victoria, you're a whole different world. And yours, she said, is one I want to understand. He exhaled shakily. Then Lily tugged his sleeve. Daddy, can Miss Victoria come to pancakes tomorrow too? Victoria smiled, genuinely, openly, warmly. If your dad agrees, she said. Ethan laughed under his breath. I think we can arrange that. He offered his hand, not like a deal, not like a negotiation, but like an invitation. Victoria took it. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel like the CEO of Hale Tech. She felt like someone who had found something she didn't know she'd been missing. A beginning. A second chance. A Christmas Eve that didn't end, but started everything.